Hello, and how are we doing today? Welcome back to Gaming, Gains, and Geekery. I am your host, Jason Ward, and today we're going to tackle some stuff that I want to talk about. So, first up, we're going to do gaming as I usually do when I do these solo podcasts. And today I wanted to talk about the Legend of Zelda. So specifically, I want to talk about this because there are some rumors about a game that may be coming later this year. And with the delay of Breath of the Wild 2, a lot of people are like wondering what's going to be the Zelda game this year, as Nintendo has been very adamant about trying to release a new Legend of Zelda game in some fashion every year. With the delays of the Breath of the Wild 2, like I'm a little bit disappointed, but at the same time, I like also want the game to be really good because I was a big fan of the first Breath of the Wild, and I want to see another game of that caliber come from the Legend of Zelda series. And Breath of the Wild really did like change the game for the Legend of Zelda games, as like it was a completely new formula, a new open world concept had never been done in Legend of Zelda before. And I personally really appreciated that. And it became my favorite Zelda game personally. That's not to take anything away from a game like Ocarina of Time, which was my previous favorite up to that point. But much like Breath of the Wild kind of changed the game, the Ocarina of Time also changed the game quite a bit for a lot of people. And it is still one of my favorite Zelda games. Like I'll go back and replay that anytime. Honestly, I've been thinking about doing another replay very soon. In fact, the leak though. So let's talk about what the rumor is. So there is a rumor that we will be getting a potentially double pack of games, and those two games are Wind Waker and Twilight Princess. And so I've just popped up. This is a little website. I've been watching some videos, listening to some folks recently talk about this potential coming to the Nintendo Switch probably in October. Super cool. I personally would not be terribly disappointed if this were to happen. This could be really good for The Legend of Zelda. And I would love to see these games. I've never played Wind Waker personally. Well, not in its entirety. I had the demo version when I played the Master Quest because it was a part of a pack that I got from my GameCube back when the GameCube was the best system you get your hands on from Nintendo. So I played the demo for the Wind Waker and I did enjoy it, but I didn't love the art style at the time. I thought it was like odd. Now looking back, I'm like, you know what? Actually, this really like broke some barriers. It's very interesting, and I'd like to give it another go and actually play through the entire game, and then judge it for its entirety instead of just for that. Like, I think like 14-year-old me being like, "What the hell is this art style? It's all cutesy," and I'm like, I don't want that. I want that more realistic Ocarina of Time style, or even Majora's Mask, which was a little bit darker but very similar. And then the Twilight Princess is one that I would absolutely love to play again. I really enjoyed that game. I thought a lot of people kind of like ragged on it a little bit at the time. I don't really understand why in retrospect. I enjoyed the game thoroughly. Personally, I played it on the Wii and not the Wii U. Maybe it was a little different on the Wii U. I have no idea. But I personally really enjoyed the Twilight Princess and would love to play it again on my Switch. Being able to do that in like a portable fashion is like just a fantastic idea. I think that could be a hell of a lot of fun. And I really do hope that there is some truth behind these rumors, because at this point they are just rumors and we don't know if this is actually going to come to fruition or not. So are you excited about the potential of the Wind Waker and Twilight Princess coming to the Switch later this year? Could you care less? Could you not care at all? You let me know in the comments. Just drop it down there. Let me know what's going on. I'd love to have a discussion with you. So that's all I want to talk about there. Next up, we're going to move into the gains section. And I wanted to talk about something that's not really like technically gains, I guess. It's more like losses. But in this category, I just like to talk about fitness and what's going on. And there's been a lot of backlash around this one particular issue recently. And so I kind of wanted to tackle it because I have some thoughts and I thought you might like to know what they are. So the issue in question is the Kim Kardashian fitting into Marilyn Monroe's dress for the Met earlier this week. So she dropped, I think it was 16 pounds in 3 weeks, something like that. Yeah, 16 pounds in 21 days to fit in a dress that was made for somebody else. And I mean, like, sure, it looks great. It was made for Marilyn Monroe, who obviously has a very different body type from Kim Kardashian. So the question really is like, why would you try to force yourself into a dress that was literally made for somebody else? That's a whole other discussion. But because of the fact that you can't make alterations to this dress, the only way that she could wear it was to go through this extreme diet protocol and get herself into a level of leanness that she just doesn't normally have. And losing 16 pounds in 21 days, while it is possible, you have to do some pretty extreme things. And the fact that like she did it is impressive, but does it set a precedent and a standard for people where they think like these are the kinds of things that we need to do if we want to see results? And the answer is no. These are not the things that you should be doing if you want to see long-term results and progress. I mean, she's even made jokes after this about how she's going to go back to her hotel room and like order tacos or pizza or whatever it was. Like, understandably, like she's been depriving herself for 3 weeks, not eating sugar or carbs that entire time just to fit into this dress. And that is not a healthy approach. But she was also trying to do something extreme. And this is where there's a disconnect, I think, for a lot of people. When you want to do something extreme, like a bodybuilding competition, for instance, you have to take extreme measures. It's understandable if you want to do something extreme to take extreme measures, but then you have to deal with the consequences of those extreme choices as well. So when you do things to the extreme, you will need to accept the fact that your body's going to fight back after. You will not have a pleasant time through that experience. And when it's over, your body is likely to fight even more to try to get back to a homeostasis. And what usually happens is like an overshoot past where you were, and then you can get a correction period where you kind of like come back to your norm again. So when we use extreme protocols, we get extreme results, but then we also get extreme rebounds. So understanding that, being willing to accept those consequences makes that kind of decision something that you personally have to choose. If you want to do something extreme to get yourself ready for an extreme situation, that's understandable. I will not begrudge you that choice. You can do whatever you want, but understand that when that is over, you then have to deal with the consequences of those choices that you made. And you may not be happy with those consequences. They're generally not pleasant. Extreme hunger, extreme lethargy, like you just don't feel like you have any energy, you can't do anything, like life just kind of sucks. And these are just like two things that can happen when you get to extreme circumstances. So like I got ready for 4 different bodybuilding shows in my life, and what I found after each of them is that like my ability to interact with food, I guess is the words that I want to choose here, was greatly diminished. I didn't see things in a more like grayscale. It was black and white. Like this food is good, that food is bad. I can have this, I can't have that. These were the types of things that I was saying to myself because of the dieting that I went through to get ready for those competitions. It's very hard to readjust your mindset after you've done something like this, particularly in the case of a bodybuilding show, which is typically more like 16, 20 weeks, sometimes as few as 12, depending on what your starting point is. But the versus like 3 weeks that Kim went through, those are two very different scenarios, but they do have similar psychological repercussions. And you have to be willing to deal with said repercussions because they definitely are going to take a toll on you mentally. And that's that. Again, it is up to you. If you want to do that, you can. I do not recommend it, as it is not a healthy approach, and it does have those long-term consequences and some short-term consequences as well. It can literally affect your brain, like your mindset for many, many years. So if you're going to do it, I recommend that you find yourself a really good coach who's going to help you to make the right choices to get through that extreme protocol, and then is going to help you on the outset of that extreme protocol, because there are steps that you can take after something like that that can help mitigate the damage that you've done. But you're still going to be in a situation where like things are pretty fucked up. All right. Like, so if you want to take extreme measures, understand that you'll get extreme results, but you'll also have extreme rebounds. And once you reconcile those things, if you're okay with going through that process and putting your body through that and dealing with all of those consequences, then it is your choice to pursue that avenue. But remember, if you want long-term sustainable results, you need to think about more long-term sustainable lifestyle changes. You can't just cut out all sugar, all alcohol, all carbs, all fats, like just eat proteins, or like be a breatharian and just breathe. That like there are so many crazy ideas out there and so much in your face all the time with these celebrities and their protocols that they go through to get themselves into these extreme situations. This is not for you. This is not for the everyday person. And unless you need to get yourself into that kind of shape for those types of situations, you are better served to think about the long term, make choices that are going to be better for you in the long term. All right. If you guys have any questions about that, you want to talk about it a little bit more, drop me some comments down below. Let me know. Maybe fire me a DM on Instagram and let's start a conversation. Like, I'm happy to talk about this stuff and delve into it a little bit more if you're curious about what sorts of things that I'm talking about here. All right. So today is May the 6th. I am actually recording this the day that I'm posting it. And we missed May the 4th. Which is obviously Star Wars Day, and that is going to be our geekery discussion for today. So I wanted to talk more about Star Wars because this is just one of my favorite things ever. There's so much about Star Wars that I love. And I thought, you know what? Let's make that the geekery topic today. And I just want to talk about this Star Wars as a concept today and like what it is about Star Wars that I love so much and why I think it has so much to teach and offer people. So basically, like, there is some garbage in the Star Wars universe. I understand there's some stuff that like people really don't like. Even the stuff that people don't care for, I'm still kind of a fan of. I do like aspects of what's been done with the sequel trilogy. I think it wasn't handled well. There are definitely problems. I think that after having seen the sequels now, people are sort of redeeming the prequels. But the original trilogy, like a lot of the problems that people have with these films actually are all the way through the saga. You can see some of those same elements in the original trilogy or in the prequel trilogy. I mean, pointing to these different things like, well, like that's the same as this that happened here. Why is it such a big deal now? It's because you have a more critical mind. And what I think a lot of fans of Star Wars need to understand is that this is for kids. This was created for children, right? Like the original trilogy, it's meant to be an experience through the eyes of innocence. It's about hope at its center. And that's what I think I can teach all of us, like that striving even against all odds and having to fight the evil in the world and in your life and never giving up in the face of that adversity, because you just keep having to work at it. If you're patient and you continue to strive to be better, eventually you will overcome those demons that you have to face. And that, I think, is like the heart of what Star Wars is about and why it resonates with so many people, because that's just something that we can all identify with. It's such a powerful concept. And you really need to take these films and these stories that they're telling and see them through that lens of, this is a story about hope, and this is geared toward children. Like, it's not supposed to be super dark and gritty. And I think wanting it to go in that direction, like maybe you could do some properties within Star Wars that have more of that dark and that grit that some of us are looking for, but at its heart, it still needs to be light and about hope. And I mean, even in the darker moments of the Star Wars saga, that there is still hope. There's that light that's still there. Like, oh, this could still go in a positive direction. And like, really, the end of 2, 5, and 8 are all like very dark. Like, the bad guys look like they're going to win. And then the final film in each of the trilogies brings it all back and shows us how the light is able to win again. And I think like that's an excellent lesson for us all to take from Star Wars, that like as long as you don't give up, as long as you keep striving and accepting the light and utilizing all of the tools and the skills that you've acquired, you can overcome the obstacles in your life and become the best version of yourself, or redeem yourself from past mistakes. It's the whole story of Anakin Skywalker. Like, he was the chosen one. He goes through this terrible life ordeal. He gives into his fear and his passions and turns to the dark side. And then he is brought back to the light at the end of his life. And there's that whole redemption arc. So it's like, no matter how bad you've been or what you've chosen to do and how your life's been affected, if you continue to strive to be better, eventually you can come back to the light and save yourself from that trauma. Like, and yeah, it's just such a potent and powerful message. And every year for May the 4th, these are the kinds of things that I think about as I rewatch the saga. I didn't rewatch all of them this year. I just rewatched A New Hope and The Empire Strikes Back. I may tackle a few more this weekend, or I might keep playing Lego Star Wars and play through the stories that way. Who knows? I also have some other Star Wars games that I should probably play, like Republic Commando, the Jedi Academy, I think was one, Knights of the Old Republic. I still haven't like tackled any of these games on my Switch, so that needs to be done. But yeah, so that's just like some minor thoughts on Star Wars, what it is, what it means to me, why I think it can apply to just about anybody. And if you haven't watched them and you're just refusing to watch them because of people's reaction, because I've seen that meme go around where it's like, I will never watch Star Wars because the enjoyment I get from watching other people react to the fact that I've never seen Star Wars is more enjoyable than any film experience I could ever have. I'm sorry, but you just cannot be correct in that. You don't understand how impactful these films can be, but you do have to see them through the right lens. That's very important. If you go into it with too critical of an eye, you are definitely not going to get the same enjoyment from those films as you could have. But anyway, that's just my opinion. What do you think? Why don't you let me know in the comments what you think about Star Wars, what you think about this Kim Kardashian thing, what you think about the potential rumors of a Wind Waker Twilight Princess duo pack coming out later this year. I would love to hear from you. Let me know down below. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share so that people can hear my message and I can talk to more people and enjoy this even more. Anyway, that is all for me today. You have a wonderful day, and we will catch you on the next one. Later.